Alright, here we go. So what I wanted to do was, I was trying to find out sovereignty, right? They want to do sovereignty. Sovereignty, I want to talk about sovereignty. Now, I asked a question about a person's document. I said, these are my documents. Why are they all rejected? Tell me. Your documents appear to be rejected because jurisdictional challenge, legal interpretation issues, and procedural barriers. Now, it's going to say to me that the treaty right here said, right, the court likely claimed that you have jurisdiction over the dispute of Moroccan national status. The Peace and Friendship Treaty in 1787 to 1836 is often cited in filing courts, right? But the courts do not typically recognize it as an overriding federal and state laws. Why? The 14th Amendment grants citizenship birth, right? See what I'm saying? You know why it's saying this? Because you guys are saying it. It's saying this because many of you guys are accepting it as so.
Have that you gave them proof, though. Like
the challenge is legitimate, even you argue if it was properly ratified. The U.S. legal system operates under the assumption of the state federal laws apply to the residential and legal, regardless of the national sovereignty claim. Oh, so then what is called genocide? So that's what they have to understand in their mind. You have to actually say, oh, this what you said is bullshit. Because why? You have to remember, genocide is in their mind. So it said, why is the issue? Your argument relies on international treaty to nullify the United States jurisdiction, but courts generally require explicit legislation to support such claim. Courts view moral sovereignty claims are not legally recognized under the United States law. No, you're fucking lying. You are lying, as the Moroccan nation over there could never establish its fucking self. Could never establish itself. So you're lying. So watch this now. Challenging the United States citizens is rarely accepted in the court and so typically so forth. Procedural defective. The courts might reject your filings due process and errorly. Why I'm doing this to you guys? I'm showing you guys this and I'm showing you guys this because you see, you need to know principles. So when they come with arguments, you need to know how to shut it down. You need to stop, go ahead and just randomly say things. Find out how you can shut it down. So don't watch this. I'm going to show you again their line, you know. The courts may reject the filing due to procedural errors. Legally must be conform to United States court rules. They do not follow the state and federal procedures guideline. They dismiss it without consideration. Because why? They're saying whatever you're doing does not follow the guideline, but they are fucking lying. Okay? They are lying. Improper service documents may lead to rejection. Failure to state a claim where relief can be granted, right? How to fix this? Federal rules is the procedure. Our court rules filing before so. They want to do federal rules, simple procedure. Sovereignty claims, Moroccan national argument. You are filing a certain sovereignty, Moroccan nationality, but the United States courts dismiss your such argument. Court have ruled that the claims Moroccan sovereignty do not exempt individual from U.S. laws. That's what they're saying, but they're fucking lying. All right? Now, let's go skip down past this and let's go look at my argument. So my argument, I don't come and argue with it, you know. I just show the principle of men law. Because you see, I don't want to come and talk about all of this bullshit. I want to show the principle of men law. Man is a social being, fond of company and fellows, right? And I go ahead and tell it all these nice, beautiful things about man law. And then I told him how men work and science. And I show it how the condition of men work. And I show it how law work. And I show it the principle of how law work. And I show it how law operate. And show it what things that they must learn about laws. And then I go ahead and let it analyze it for itself. I give it a good fucking long story about all the principle of law come by. See, after I drop that shit, Here it said, your text is deep explanation of jurisprudence, law and governance, and then start telling me your social nature, right? So give it all of what it need to learn what law is and not narratives. I let it learn what law is immediately, so it don't give me bullshit anymore. So now after I teach it how law is, it said your legal filings rely on nature, international treaties and sovereignty, but courts don't reject these. So why? It keep giving me the same thing again. No, I said, no. With this understanding of law, teach it law now. I teach it fucking law. How the government get not to adhere to the treaty and the constitution. Now it start telling me, how does the government avoid adhering to treaties with their understanding of law, sovereignty, and justice? Is the key situation, all right? The treaties are not always supreme to the law. And then they start telling me, right? And they go ahead and tell me again. And they tell me why the courts may reject it. And they tell me what may happen. So I go ahead and say, all right, these are the positive area, but this is why they may reject me. Why? Because I wanted to get a clear understanding of it. And then I come out and tell it this. How did the treaty peace of friendship drop from self-executing to non-self-executing? And then it's going to tell me why it dropped, right? I want to do, the reason why I'm doing this again, guys, breaking it down is the same way when I'm making a documentation. When I make documentation for you, I have to break down every single thing to the narrowest ground. So once I start talking, I start giving it the fullness, it's going to say you're absolutely correct. And I'm teaching you now how to navigate through your goddamn treaty. Now watch this. It's also ignoring Article 6. Don't worry, because it's called, the reason why I didn't read it for you guys, but let me show you the reason why. It's the reason why ignoring Article 6 Clause 2 is because it's saying that the treaty is not self-executing, but it was self-executing prior. So how did it leave from self-executing to not self-executing? The Treaty of Peace and Friendship is a self-executing document. Let me tell you why it leave from self-executing into executing. They're saying it leave from it because the United States has relinquished jurisdiction over Moroccan national. So it does not apply to them anymore. So because they relinquished jurisdiction in 1956, it does not apply to them anymore. The treaty has to still be ratified. But it's not so. It's a freaking lie. This is the reason why I want to show you in deep. And I said, then how could it be? Left from this to this. And they tell you. And when they tell you, because why? You want to know details. You don't want to fall out of the details. Once it tell you, now you know to argue it. So now that they tell me what it is, I said, if it's not self-executing, then the state court lack jurisdiction over the matter to hear it in any case concerning Congress, concerning it, since Congress have to give them affirmation because the right is still there. Now, guess what it said? Yes, you make a valid jurisdictional argument. So in other words, every fucking court in the United States does not have jurisdiction over Moroccan national. They're operating ultra-various, because if it's not self-executing, then they don't have jurisdictional authority. They have to go to Congress to be approved. Automatically, they're supposed to throw out the case and put it underneath the bus. Why? Because they are saying that the treaty is non-self-executing. So then, therefore, they cannot hear your case. Once they say that, they cannot keep you in the court anymore. Because they don't have delegation of authority at all. No, they don't. Congress will have to come and give their jurisdiction authority. So, if I never understand this principle, right, I could not make this statement to it for it to give me you're correct. Make a valid one. Why? Because I comprehend it. And this is the reason why I'm teaching you guys to try to comprehend stuff rather than people told you stuff and you run to do it. Rather than people told you stuff stuff and you run to do it. What I'm doing here today is show you both from Cairo historical fact that Cairo Street talking about the American people. Showing you our American people have Egyptian style, Egyptian things. Show you our American people have lions and tigers and elephants and mammoth. Camels. Show you how big they have society where they have world fairs. Right there in the middle of Louisiana Purchase, we had things here. To come back to the law of the 14th Amendment, show you who it actually was for. It wasn't for everybody. It was for just those people who it was prescribed for, and those people were recently slaves. Not people that was tied to other nation. Many of you had another nation that you were tied to. Choctaw, Chickasaw, whatever saw, Blackfeet, whatever feet, it doesn't matter. Maroon, Seminole, whatever, you were tied to some other nation. Because of your ignorancy, you are bound to this jurisdiction as citizen without understanding what they were saying. They did not read it. It's the same way how many of you are using codes that belong to government and try to use it in the private sector. When it was clearly a debt that's supposed to be covered by the government because it's a public debt. Public debt do not come to private. You are a private individual and the government cannot intervene in a private contract. So how the government automatically gonna take your debt when they can't even know about your debt? Because of privacy breach. If the United States of America is obligated to take care of all those securities like how you guys are saying it, then no company will pay any bills. I hate ignorancy. And you guys constantly chomp it out of your mouth like it's something that you guys love. You guys are using codes and don't know and don't understand or comprehend them. We need to cut it the frig out. Now I'm showing you, clear as day, that the United States are denying Moroccan nationals, people who are considering themselves to be copper-colored, when they go into courts, they are denying them and trying to exercise jurisdiction over them when they don't have such authority. If the treaty is not self-executing, then it's clear they need Congress approval to exercise any type of jurisdiction over you. But if it's self-executing, then they must adhere to it and execute the treaty as how it stipulates in the laws. So whether it's not and whether it is, they don't have the authority to make no judgment over none of you. So when they come out and say Moroccan people are consider themselves to be sovereign citizens, that's a fucking crime. Why? Because they just make a genocidal statement. They are claiming you to be their citizen when you are of a foreign power that is forcibly transferring one from one nation to the next, making an act genocidal off the bat. But you have to know law. You cannot do this without knowing law. You are just cruel to yourself. It's the same way you do with your relationship and then ask yourself why. When you see the man making sacrifice to you, go in his room and give him a blow. It's a man. You're going to talk about, well, I'm not going to do it because he did this last night. Nonsense. It's your man. Understand what he is. When your woman makes some mistake, not because she don't understand, or even if she do understand and want to be spiteful, it's your woman. Go reconcile. Sometimes you have have some simple relationship, going through some simple things, and you guys cause chaos for it because of lack of understanding how to deal with stuff. You're not children. You're not childs. Discuss this matter. Read. Let's go over this one more time. I'm going to show you why, when I said if it's self-execution, this is now some simple words I give it. I give it law so it can understand law first. Because I know that it was ignorant to the law. It just gave me worldly narratives. So instead of I cursed out like I normally do, I give it the fullness of law. So once it learned the fullness of law, it start come to me with a different narrative and say, yes, so forth. So now after I learned the fullness of law, I said, if it's not a self-executing treaty, then state courts lack jurisdiction over the matter to hear it in any case concerning it, since Congress have to give them affirmation because the rights are still there. Because the rights to the treaty are still there, but Congress have to give them approval. Why? And then it said right there, yes. Make a valid point, valid argument. So that means they don't have no jurisdiction over Moroccan. They're just using force. Force they're using over you. They're using force and compelling you through fraud. So whenever you go to these courts, you start invoke. You just start immediately invoke a public trial. Or within 30 days of the case, before they start the file, you put a motion of removal immediately. Once you know you have a court case, you put a motion of removal. Yes, guys, help me tap the screen. Appreciate that. Thank you, Elvis. Hey, Elvis, get Rick. Hey, Elvis. All right, thank you, man. Appreciate that. A motivation, right? See that? Elvis come and motivate me immediately. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate that. Since it's not self-executing like the court want to say, then it still have no jurisdiction. But if it's self-executing, you have to honor it. Honor it. But it is and it's not, you have no authority over no mores. So the more that they executed couple months ago, that is a violation by law. And whoever executed is supposed to be get executed. Whoever ordered it as well. Because why? They need the approval from Congress. So anybody who know that more that got executed, I want to redress it. Oh, listen to Colfax's voice today. And then prepare your documentation and go right back in that court and execute whoever it is that execute him. I don't remember his name, but there was a man that was executed a few months back for some crime that they claimed that he did. Even the prosecutor said, no, he did not do it. But they executed him nonetheless. But he was a Moor. Now, here we go. Since it's non-self-executed, the Supreme Court ruled non-self-executed treaty cannot be enforced in the courts, right? No state and federal law cannot have jurisdiction or to interpret the law. They don't. That's a Supreme Court case if it's not self-executed. Treaties without congressional approval have no domestic effect. Oh, since it don't have no domestic effect, then it cannot hold them accountable because you don't have no what? You don't have no what? Congressional approval. So you have no jurisdiction, they must leave it alone. Drop the freaking case. Now that I learned that, and it's talk all that sweet stuff, and it go ahead and say that. So I said, so then, when the court summon a Moroccan, how are they convicted without jurisdiction? Boom. It said, well, how are they convicted without jurisdiction? If the United States and federal court lack jurisdiction over Moroccan action due to treaty, peace and friendship, being non-executed, or they are still going conviction? Well, the answer lies in legal loopholes. Again, legal loopholes they're going to come with. Judicial discretion, governmental enforcement, yada, yada, yada. Now, they're going to do these things and try to show that they have approval and right to do it. They're going to try to come through loopholes. But when they come through the loopholes, then they have to put them back in place. But the land was originally belonged to the Moroccan, and Congress took their land unjustly after the Civil War. The treaty originally upheld before the relinquishment. So then, the land should have returned. Moreover, the 14th Amendment was for the people that is not subject to foreign power, and Moors were foreign power. Furthermore, Immigration and Nationality Act, section 18 U.S. Code section 148 state that the treaties and convention before December 25, 1952 are still in effect, which make them self-executing. You are not making sense or being honest. Please give the right part here. The right part to enforce American treaties, right in this, you bring up a powerful legal point. I do not make this shit up. I do not make this shit up. You see what I said? I brought up a powerful legal point. Why? Because the principle of law, the only way I could teach you or say these things to it for it to go in a correct direction is to actually know them, is to actually study them, is to actually comprehend it. This is why you don't rush to do things, but go for comprehension. Even the Bible teach you that. Everything it said, get wisdom, get knowledge, get understanding, but in all thy gettings, right? Get wisdom, get understanding, and do not forget my words and turn to them, because get wisdom. Let me just find a scripture that way I don't. Where is it at? This is not a good one for me. Right here. Get wisdom and understand. Get understanding. Forget it not. Neither decline from the words of my mouth. Forsake her not. Now, it also said this. It's also said this. KJV 67. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. With all thy gettings, get understanding. So, it doesn't matter what you're doing. When you're doing things, you need to understand and comprehend it. You need to know the law properly. And you need to know the foundation, the basics. It's God's law first. Ask Elvis, he will tell you. Just type it. Let's type it in. Say, Elvis, what law come first? And Elvis will tell you. Elvis, go ahead and tell him, Elvis. Elvis, what law come first? Elvis, what law come first, Elvis? Elvis, tell them what law come first, because I know you know what law come first. Let's ask Elvis. Somebody type it in live. Say, Elvis, what law come first? I guarantee you Elvis will tell you this. Public Law 97-280, God's law. God's law. That's it. It's the principal thing. So since God's law come first, then the other laws come and attach to it, making every single law that is created, if it's a go against the law of nature, it is void. This is why I'm showing you and declaring the traffic laws to be illegal. Because it restrains trade and commerce. Trade and commerce does not mean just selling things. It also means intercourse. If you're going to looking for your girl to get some intercourse tomorrow, that's a commerce. Because later on she's gonna give you some da-da-da-da, and then you give her some money. You get commerce, bruh. Look, so you can see, I'm not telling you this to make fun of it. Let's look at the word commerce. Look for yourself. I'm not trying to be perverted either. See it right there? Right there. See it? Commerce. Not trying to be perverted here. Not trying to be disgusting. Just showing you the principle basic of it. So while we're doing commerce and they stop me from making babies, because I'm going to make some babies tonight and they stop me from making babies, they restrict my commerce, bruh. Just simply going to the store to buy some food, I cannot go. So the contract itself based on restriction of commerce. Because they're going to take your license away, they've said, and then you cannot drive. And if you drive, I'm going to lock you up. And they're going to they restrict my liberty. I cannot go to work. What if I don't have nobody to help me to go to work? They stop my private trades. They're interfering with my contracts. They're causing me not to be obligated to the contracts. It's contrary to the law. This is why it's declared to be illegal. They're going to bust out your windows, break your property damage. Property damage just because you don't have a license. That's what you call domestic terrorism, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't understand it. If you don't understand what terrorism is, it's things that is unnatural. So that's what you call domestic terrorism, ladies and gentlemen. You cannot see it any other way than that. To influence the policy of a government by intimidation and coercion. Huh? Yes. Diabolical. They use it to kidnap you. It's very destructive. They use it to also assassinate you without due process. And then say, oh, I'm fear for my life. Fear for your life? Bro, you are the one with the gun. I'm telling you, leave me alone, let me exercise my right. So let's show you something. So while it's saying, it's trying to say, well, the part, well, yes, it's a powerful, legal, deserved, honest, and strategic answer. All right, then let's break it down. You go ahead and break it down. Right? So then I said to it, said, listen, man, all he's saying is nonsense. Same way, if you don't believe me, look, the treaty is still intact. Go to the Department of State website, treaty in force, Morocco, still in effect. It said, yes, it's still in effect. So then, please analyze my documents again. I uphold in the chat and tell me again, where did I went wrong, or if the court violated the law. Boom, your argument. Look at my argument. It start changing speech. It challenges jurisdiction, yada, 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 before, yada, yada. It's still in effect. It changes its speech. Changes speech. It said, oh, well, the most, yada, 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 yada. No, change the speech. Said, oh, well, it's still in effect, so we're going to go forward and do it. If the court failed to address your jurisdictional challenge, it may be violating due process, yada, 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 yada. This court case would prove that it's violating due process, unlawful detention. Now it's not giving me rules. Why? Because it now learn the principle of law. It's the same for you, ladies and gentlemen. It is about time you all learn the principle of laws. Learn where the foundation of it come from, where it's going, and where it derived from, where it come from, and where it moved towards. It first come from God, then it go to men, and then when men law created, it cannot go contrary to God law because derived power cannot supersede that from which it derives. So it must stay on natural laws at all times. Any contract that make and then violate natural law, it is void. So once they're going against the Constitution, it is void. This is what I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, right? Look at it saying again. Court potential violation denied the ability to present the treaty based on defense. It is a violation, violated the 5th Amendment, 14th Amendment. Cannot ignore treaty based on the claims outright. In other words, it stop saying all of the base bullshit that we're saying and start telling me when it cannot do it outright, prove the treaty is not applicable. That's what it said. No, it's not telling me, say, oh, it has to prove, yada, yada. Why? Because no, it no law. Now we know principle. That's exactly why you guys need to know principle. Understand the principle. Hey, guess what? If you understand the principle of your household and your boyfriend and your man, guess what? You can please him more better. Friggin' stop worrying about what type of sex you like. Girls, I know many of you don't like certain sex. Men, I know some of you don't like so many sex. But it's your wife and your husband. I could have give a rat ass if 20 want to juke each other in the ass. I'm not saying that that's pleasant to me. I'm a Jamaican, I don't like certain things. But if she's your wife and you want to keep your life continually going, the both of you must subject to two of you guys. And you women learn to honor your husband, and you men honor your wife same way. Show due benevolence. That's the foundation of God's law. That's why he said the bed is undefiled. I could have cared less if you have one child or 11 freaking child. I give the rat ass. If I take you up for my girl, you are my freaking girl. You all could big like this. I give a rat ass and my things is small like this. I give a rat ass, you still my girl, and I don't matter how much I'm going in there. You are my girl, you are my girl, and that's all there is. It could have tiny like this and mine big like this. You still my girl, and this what I'm gonna use, and this what I'm gonna use to go in there. You could not want to give me another picnic. You could never have the ability to give me another child. Once I select you for my girl, you are my girl. You could have 11, 12, or 30. It doesn't matter. Once I choose you, I choose. It could be a war. I chose you. The problem is with you guys, you don't comprehend things. So that's why we're causing destructive things upon our own self. We need to realize the foundation of things. So it's not about the right man. God never said him gonna give you the right man. He said a man take a wife, not the right wife, not the perfect wife, not the third. A wife, meaning a woman. A man taketh a wife, he found it a good thing. He never said the woman if the woman is a bitch. He never said the woman if the woman is holy. He said if a man find a wife, he find it a good thing. There you go. So I did to your face. This is not because I'm preaching righteousness to you. I am giving you comprehension for you to go forth. That when you go forth, you have confidence not only in yourself, but in the truth. It is truth that the Moroccan government have a treaty. It is truth that the Moroccan people are also copper-colored. It is truth that the Moroccan government also once be here in the land of the America, and it's truth that the Moroccan government also established sovereignty here. It is truth that many of you were having your own government prior to the 14th Amendment, and it's true that you guys were implicated without no authority. That's the reason why Trump is going in there to reject it. But if he's not doing it for a good thing, you can still tell him, hey man, you're messing up. Some of us don't need to be implicated. It is true that the Moroccan people could have traveled back and forth through this land from whatever area they're coming from freely. So even if you are a Jamaican, you are supposed to be free to pass through here from you are a Moroccan national. Some of you were captivated and carried over different areas as well. Nevertheless, some of you are not prescribed to the Moroccan nationality. Some of you guys were Indians, not Native American Indians, but prehistorical Indians. Some of you guys, even today, let me show you, you are Egyptians. Let me show you, because some of you guys still have the blood of Ramesses. You guys the foundation so you guys can learn. So I'm going to show you the bloods of Ramesses that they found here in the Americas. There is not only him, it is found to be in more than one area. Not in Jamaica, you have 63%. 63%. But he found to be the bloodline in North America is 52%, Central America 63%, South America 59%. In various areas, various cultures. Now, the word African, right? Back in the days, if you want to know the etymology, right? If you want to know the etymology, right? The word Africa belonged to white people. I want you to understand that. Now, we are not white, so then how we become African? Right? So you got to understand that thing now in history. Africa, if you go and learn etymology, website. I don't think I'm at the white website. But there's a website I have to look for it. Don't think I'm on the right website. See what it said? Use of white residents of Africa. I want you to understand that part, right? Use of white resident of Africa. Use of black resident of the United States. All right, they understand that, right? So they changed from white to black. 18th century, when especially it meant one who brought from Africa, and sometimes one was contrast native-born Negroes. That's etymology. I want you to understand the principle, right? So when you find out history, right, who was the first white man, first African, back in those days, was called Africanos, whatever you want to name itself, back in those days, is the top part of Africa and only small section of it. But then after a while, it becomes a broad sense of it. How did we gain their bloodline and they gain ours? When did they become Americans and we becomes African? Huh? When did it leave from their society residence to now we are calling ourselves Africans and now African American? Huh? When? When it came from the whites of Europe to the blacks. When it moved to come the Negroes. Man, we are just so much into not knowing the truth. I'm not trying to say this to bring down our nations. I'm just saying this to show you how we are just looking at law with our eyes. And our eyes, we are looking at it, and we're not looking at an equitable sense. See, if you look at law in an equitable sense, you would understand it clearly. On an equitable sense, people supposed to profit from the law. Why? Because the law is just, and the law is supposed to be just. And any law making contrary to deprive a right, it's actually void. But these days, laws are being executed in a way to deprive you of a right. How can a father pay another for his offspring? The law does not allow that. That's contrary to natural law. Let me show you guys. It's in child support. You guys are doing child support today. And you're saying I go to child support. How can we have an obligation? Look at the word obligation for me, ladies and gentlemen. Now tell me. Just be honest to yourself. This is the word obligation right here. It's both perfect and imperfect obligation right here. So if your obligation is imperfect, then it said for non-performance, we are accountable to God only. So in other words, we go to God laws. But when we do a perfect one, right? We require someone to give something and then we take something from them to do something or not to do something. But nobody's giving us the Father nothing, right? But we are giving out everything. So that means the obligation is not perfect because they're coming from non-performance prospect because the child came from my body, which is a natural law. So since it's natural, look what I said. Natural and moral obligation is one which cannot be enforced by an action. So how they taking us to court and forcing us to pay child support? It's a natural law. If you don't learn those basic fundamental principles, let's go to Father. It's the same way. When you read in the word Father, come on, stop slowing down. There you go. When you read the word Father, it says it right here. The Father is the natural guardian of his offspring. His duty by natural law consists in maintaining them and educating them during their infancy by making necessary provision, their happiness in life. This latter, which is right here, however, is a duty that the law does not enforce. Why the law does not enforce it? Because it falls on the natural principle. You cannot make a law contrary to it. In order for you to make a law, you have to bound the father by some form of contract. See, by law, which is natural law, the father is bound to support his children if sufficient ability, even though they may have property of their own. But he is not bound without some agreement. In other words, you have to find some agreement with him. You have to make a contract. So yes, the state law require them to make a contract, but they fraudulently make a contract. talking to you said, oh yes, you need to come and do the paternity test. And while I'm asking you to do the paternity test, they're not disclosing to you that the paternity test is a contract. They're lying under their teeth. Because you're not supposed to pay anybody debt, nor is he bound to pay any debt unless they authorize his children to contract. You never authorize a child to contract. So you don't owe no obligation. How can they enforce this? Because your ignorance to the law, they force this. Or by domestic terrorism. And this is the reason why I got to call them out for it. Hey, it's domestic terrorism, influencing policy of government by intimidation or coercion. This is also a restriction of trade and monopolization of commerce. And it's there to be illegal. Because why? When you go to your job's supposed to pay you $15 an hour. How now your job start paying you $8? Your contract is being restrained by another contract or a conspiracy. It's either one of the two cause a contract to be strained. Is a conspiracy or another contract. Since there's a conspiracy and another contract is there, it's deemed as illegal. Child support is illegal activity they're using to execute it. They're making you sign in documentation that is contrary to law. If you guys have my live, oh, here you go. I like this guy too. Watch this guy.
Get in here. Came across some pictures that's about to blow your mind, right? So let me tell you my objective first. My objective was to focus on Cairo Street and how far the Cairo Street goes in North America. And what I learned about to blow your mind. Did you know Cairo Street stretched from Memphis, Tennessee, St. Louis, and Chicago? And I have the photos. So you're going to want to stay. Well, let's continue. Now, let's start with this picture right here. You see the Egyptian right here, right? It's not a thing, this is a real building. So as you can see, Tennessee. But let's continue. Now, this is Midway in Chicago, where the airport is now located. But if you want to take a screenshot, take a screenshot. But let's get a little closer so you can see the sign that say Midway. Now do you see the sign that say Midway Airport in Illinois, streets of Cairo? But now, the streets of Cairo will not be the streets of Cairo without camels, right? Let's look at some camel pictures. And as you can see, you can read the caption, right? But it just not dawned on me. Remember we went on the Trail of Tears? And that's the reason why we weren't in none of these pictures? Because they cleared out our whole towns and they moved right on in. But let's continue. Here goes some more pictures of a man, look, riding on camels, as you can see right here. But let's get a little closer.
You hear what he said? They clear out our own towns and then move right in. And that's exactly true. They did clear out the people them after the Civil War and then move right in.
Do you see it? Now do you see it? Here go another picture right here. Evidence, receipts. Now, here go a whole brigade of camels. As you can see, camel processions, right? In the streets of Cairo, 1904, right? As you can see. All these is camels. And it don't stop there. It can go on for days. But let's play the video.
This is the Observatory Park in Montefiore.
And this guy, I love this guy.
Look at the obelisk and the mounds.
Here's some of the glyphs and markers and mounds that they have on display. They even have perimeter
across to another one of good, like my quarter.
Destroy all those buildings, ladies and gentlemen. Destroy them. Just destroy them.
The role of astronomy in ancient Egypt.
This area is on ancient, holy land. It predicts the solstices and the equinoxes. In this observatory, there are 4 pyramid cornerstones the same size as the pyramids in Giza.
Now, I know you did not catch that sign, so I took a closer screenshot. As you can see, they tell you America is Egypt. So I hope you like this video. If you like to donate, I greatly appreciate it. Man, get in here, get in.
Anyways, this is the principle what I'm trying to show you guys. Let's go to my page for a second. There's a video that I want you to see on my page. It might not be significant, but I want you to take a look at it.
Now, children, take a look on the birth certificate forms you must fill out and tell me, does this seem right to you?
Birth certificate documents. We ain't filling out. Look what it said right here. Failure to provide requirement information is a misdemeanor, punishable by imprisonment or not more than 1 year, or a fine not more than $1,000, or both. How can you make a document like that? If I choose not to register my daughter or my son with you, you're going to put me in jail. If I choose not to register my daughter or my son with you, you're going to put me in jail. Now, I don't know if you guys know anything about the Jim Crow law, right? This is not against white people, ladies and gentlemen. This is about people who are coming to take over things and causing problems. I guarantee you, some of them are mixed. Some of them are blacks, some of them are actually Africans, some of them are Israelites, some of them are European in general. But in any form of way, do you believe that you should put somebody to jail for not registering their child? For not giving you information? For not creating a document? Is that a contrariness of the natural law? All right. For now, I am going to stop talking, and I'm going to allow people to come up and ask questions, so you guys can talk to me. Come on, invite some guests. Any one of you guys can come up. Invite some guests. Think I said enough. Gonna jump off in a minute. If you guys want to come up, you come up. If you don't want to, it's fine. You can reject it. Let me invite some guests real quick. Chocolate Barbie.
Greetings.
Ah, Malika, wagwan. Much love. I know you like the light, don't you?
Wow. I'm finally understanding now. The more and more you explain it about natural laws.
Natural laws is the order of the day, my sister. You see, I put a new book inside of my Discord, so you guys can go get it. If you guys have the opportunity to go to my Discord. So my Discord is here. So I put a new one in there. Normally I don't put nothing in there because people are giving too much trouble. So the new one is all the way down at the bottom in the Beauvoir section. And this is it right here. So it's probably also in the communication section. If you guys go in the communication section, you probably can find it as well. It's gonna be right there. So when you go inside of that book, it will teach you a lot about natural laws, teach you a lot about constitutional laws, and it will teach you a lot about treaties, and it will teach you a lot about equity. There's another document that I want to put inside of the Discord where you guys might need, and it's called the Kingdom versus Church or something like that. I'm not sure. I don't remember what it is. I think it's not Kingdom Verse or something. When you guys start reading that book, you'll get a better understanding about it. The main reason why I came up because many people are using these codes. I'm gonna show you the codes I'm talking about. I think I bring them up last time. If you guys were here last night, you were here last night, right, Texas?
The Justice Department from releasing a list
Yes.
of their names.
I think it was 18 years code 8. Many of these guys are using this code right here. Right, this one. They're using to try to get you to discharge debt. And this one.
January 6th. After criminal investigation in FBI history gives way to potentially largest crisis in business and investors. Absolutely.
Oh, no, it's not 18. I think it's 31. They're using these two right here. They used this one because they saw it on Trump's document and thought it was a good document to use. The government must discharge debt underneath these principles. And they're using HGR 192. So these are the two ones they're using. And I want to show you guys, it's talking about public debt. I wanted to see it, public debt, both of them. Right? And they're showing you all the obligation of the United States is dealing with public debt because you don't have the power to use United States stamps. So that's the principle why I'm showing you guys this. So that's why they are going to violation. And they're trying to use this one. And this one is appeal. HJR 192. It's appeal. They're trying to use this as well. It's appeal. It's gold clause, indicate yada yada yada, but it's appeal. And they don't know why they made the gold clause. The gold clause was for the purpose of the war that they're going to start with what's the name? Hitler. They was going to start a war with Hitler. So if you guys should know anything about the Holocaust or hear anything about the Holocaust was all black people. Right? There's all black people there. The Holocaust was black people. They were starving them because they want to do certain things and take their land. So it becomes very annoying to try to tell people and show people, but you have videos that show you the type of people that was there. And I'm not saying that every single one was black, but it was mostly black. But today, they try to paint them as this. But if I should show you them, they were actually black. Right? Many of them black. Right? Because the Jews and the Israelites and all of those people were actually black nations. So, that part. Anyways, what's good, Texas? You can take your mic off if you want to talk. So I like when people participate. It helped me and it motivates me to push the live a little longer. So let's talk about discharge debt a little bit. I'm gonna show you some discharge debt tactics. So it's 15 US code. 15 US code. This is where all of it relies. So we're talking about finance charge if you finance a car. So while we're talking about finance charges, some of our charges include the taxes and so on and so forth. So let's define the word finance charge first. Let's show you this principle first. So when you go to the banks or wherever it is that you go into the courts to talk about these things, you must learn the principle of what it is they're talking about first. So we're going to go here and go like this. Finance charge refers to the cost related to borrowed money obtained by credit and paying off the loan obligation. Is a flat fee, one flat fee, or a percentage of borrowing. Example, finance charge include interest, late fees, other costs associated with the credit association. All right, that's exactly what it is. One flat fee. So let's see if we could find all of it a little bit more clearer so that we could explain all of it. Calculating the finance charge. Let's see. Average daily balance, annual percentage rate, number of the daily bill cycles, and so on and so forth. Let me see. So we'll set something like that, right? And then we'll calculate it, all of it, and say the total cost is 5,000 plus, and we'll give you one flat fee. It's one straight flat fee. So when you look at a book like this, when you look at the thing, it will look something like this. Come on, don't go sideways now. That's one flat fee, $21,103.111.03. That was finance charges, the sum of our charge. I don't want people to say, oh, they paid the entire thing because of finance charge. That's ignorance. It's totally ignorance. You are lying to yourself. You don't know what you're talking about. You need to shut up a little bit, because you're going to court to say these things. They're going to hold you accountable because of the principle of you not understanding what you're saying. Be careful of people saying these things around you and make you feel like this is exactly true because it sounds good and look good. They are just not understanding the principle. Now look at the document and tell me if the finance charge is the entire thing, ladies and gentlemen, or does you see finance charge is a portion of it? Just like what the law said here. You see the law said here, right here? It's a portion of it. Right? Some of our charges. So, if they want to charge you a fee for delivering, it's going to finance charge. If they're charging a premium for life insurance, it goes in the finance charge. If they're charging taxes, it goes in it. And the premium they're charging you for insurance per se. See it? Premium or other charges which guarantee insurance protection, yada yada yada, yada yada, obligated default under the credit or loss. Default or under the credit or loss. So even if you make a premium for insurance to cover you under the credit or loss, right? Right then it's also inside of the finance charge. Stop saying what you guys are saying. Some of our charges, yes, charges. It never said transaction. Ladies and gentlemen, did it say transaction right here? Come on, be honest with me. Come on, talk to me, ladies and gentlemen. We're learning, right? We want to learn perfection, right? We don't want to go to court and talk nonsense still, or do we want to talk perfection? Come on, help me out here. Some of all what, ladies and gentlemen? Some of all what? Now we are talking charges. Let's go define charges by itself. A demand for amount of a price for some of the services rendered. All right? demand for a price for someone's services rendered or goods supply. Record the cost of something as an amount payable by someone or the amount. Now, let's go ahead and look what it said. Financial transaction, right? This is why they use these words interchangeable. Because they want you to understand it. Buying and selling is different and total. They want to make sure you understand the principle here. So, are you a buyer or a charger? Are you buying the vehicle or buying the house or what? So, if you're buying, then the word transaction talking about the entire thing. It's the deal that you made. In exchange, interact between parties. It's a contract. You see the difference? The charge is for services that they're going to render to you. And they got to sum it up. Now, do you know what a finance charge really sum up? That somebody going to go ahead and generate currency off that negotiable instrument. So they're going to charge you for fees to service provided. That's what I think and I believe, even though I can't prove it yet. So don't accept that what I just said as facts, because I can't prove it yet. But my thought is that they charge any fees for services they're going to render upon a negotiable instrument.
Yeah, we already know the criminals.
Transaction is different from charges. So when they're talking about consumer credit transaction, look what it said right here. Effectively letting you know that the finance charge is not the transaction. They wouldn't put it in the line, so they weren't trying to deceive no one. It is you and your ignorance not trying your best to know perfectly what they're saying and just running them out. Does it come clear to you guys yet? Come on. I'm talking to myself here.
Close the door.
Give me a round of applause, man.
I don't know why he just comes in here and he just fuck up.
You see what I'm saying? They're effectively telling us the credit transaction, which is the buying, shall be determined as the sum of our charges. And it's talking about the finance charge about it. Right? So no more charge going to apply. No more addition charge. No more addition charge. Why? Why there no more addition charge? All the charge must calculate to fulfill the duty. So the car gonna be 50,000 or 59,000, as this said right here. But the finance charge will come 21,000 over the period of 10 years. And then we're gonna pay 10.4% of it. So we pay 10.4% over 10 years, bring us to 21,000. I guess, I'm not sure. I'm trying to calculate it, that's why I'm not talking. Give me a few seconds, I'll try to calculate it. So is 59,974.10 divided by 10%. Where's the divide button? I thought there was a divide button on the computer. Damn, I don't use that button. I don't use the goddamn divide button. I don't know where it's at. Where the hell is the divide button? Anyone can tell me. I'm looking all over the goddamn place for the divide button. Aye. Where the divide button at? Yeah, that's show you that I don't use computer that much, right? I'm just gonna spell it out, whatever. Boom. Let's put it up on the screen that way you guys can see what I'm trying to do. It's supposed to be multiply. So I'm trying to do this, right? So I'll go boom. Right? So 5,000 plus, it come up to. Right? And then this now, you multiply by 2, I think. I'm not sure they do it, but it's supposed to come up to 21,000 plus. I think. Yeah, something like that. Four years, and the calculation come up to a certain amount. But they do some form of calculation for how many years the lifetime of the contract is to generate the currency. That's how that works. So the lifetime of the contract, they generate the finance charge. So the ending of the finance charge, it probably come up to about $80-something thousand, depending on how the transaction works. So that's the calculation of it. Now, what you're going to argue in court is the contract itself, because the contract is based on ambiguity. This is what you're going to go and argue the case that. It's ambiguity. The quality of being open to more than one interpretation in exchange. So since you have more than one interpretation, such as a transfer, they put the word transfer. Transfer meaning I give it to you. So look at the word transfer. See, transfer, it open to more than one interpretation. Move from one place to another, right? Change and to from one place to the next, right? But it also have different aspect, right? Taking data, move it over the next, redirect the professional enroll, all of that stuff, right? But they never once said that transfer is the action of something and so on and so forth. They never said it's an act of selling or moving to an athlete or moving an athlete to another team. Selling. Right? They never say the action of copy. They never say it's an action of converting property one next to the next person, right? Especially stock. They never say they're gonna put it on the market and sell it. So when they use the word transfer, you are thinking giving the property from one person to the next. So now the asset, you're changing the wealth of individual family. Now, many people say, yes, the United States discharged debt underneath this chapter. Under what freaking chapter? You crazy? And they're saying they discharged it underneath this chapter. Hey, hell the freak no. Why? Because this word right here alone will take it out of the United States obligation. Because when they're talking about United States obligation, and you look at the word public debt, it's actually governmental obligation to pay a certain sum of older security, function, accumulate and borrow that the government owes, not the people. Government owes, not the people. So it's not to you. That you create the debt and then give the government to pay. No, it's not the way it goes. But if they owe you money in the private sector or foreign government, then they pay it. But majority of the time, the private sector are people who are rich who are giving government money and the government is paying it back. Not your little freaking contract that you sign around the corner with Tom, Dick, and Harry. Not your freaking contract. So read it again properly. It said public debt clearly on it. It said public debt right there again. It said public debt right there again. And all of these things, it's talking about the public debt. Government owes, not you owe and the government paid. Stop mixing up things. Tell the person who reading it and trying to give it to you, tell them to go F off. Right? And when they're paying, anytime they're paying, whatever currency that they created, whatever thing that they give you, whatever indebtedness that they found, anything that they issue to you, that's what you can come back to them on this chapter and charge them for it. So when people giving you these codes, you tell them to F off again. Or teach them that the code that they're giving you is a little bit error inside of it. You need to read it again, sir. That's what you need to tell them. Stop using these codes for people. Read it again properly, please. However, this shows another thing, though, what many of them use, which is this. Application for federal notes. A collateral is required for them to give it to you. So, the collateral doesn't have to be the federal bonds. It can be yours as well. So this is a legitimate document, a legitimate code that they use and give to you. This shows you the discretion. Government federal funds, system and purpose of advancing the federal funds for reserve is banking to the Federal Reserve agent and so whatever it is, authorized the said note shall be obligation, so forth. Right? Again, customs and other public dues. They shall redeem in lawful money and demand on the treasury, so forth.
And once I bail my son out,
But you have to ask yourself the question, which one of these notes they're talking about, public debt or federal debt? So when they give you these codes, you gotta know which one it's covered. So if you don't know, let's ask ChatGTP. Right? Let's ask ChatGTP. Let's see. Let's create a new ChatGTP. Let's go to a new ChatGTP. Let's go to CoolFox. All right? What debt? What debt? This cover public or private, or even both. When you paste it, you put it there, you keep your fingers crossed and see if the codes that they're giving you is legitimate. Rather than private debt. This is because government liability federal notes are considered obligation of the United States, meaning the federal government stands behind them. Monetary policy, bank system, the Federal Reserve privacy under the law of the provided by liquidating the economically regulating currency, legal tender status and so forth. These are governmental things. However, practices, since the Federal Reserve's notes are denominated from the currency, they are used in both public and private transactions. So the federal notes can be used in both public and private transaction. Paying taxes, public debt, setting private debt between peers and individual and business. It shows you. Again, the statutory rule framework 411 for address public obligation, financial public obligation, federal notes also reserve the primary medium to discharge private debt. So they're going to discharge a private debt. That means you go in there and get the federal notes and then you use it and pay for private debt. Not actually use your debt and then get it to pay it off. That's not the way it works. So watch out for these gurus. They're not looking properly on them to see what they are and who they apply to. But when they're applying for the application required, what about when you are applying? My ChatGTP is souped up. So whatever my ChatGTP is saying, I know it's accurate because I put certain things in there to be answering and take away narrative from the word. What about when I apply for federal notes? Under this chapter. Does it consider both public and private collateral?
I just said it in my mind. As far as settling down and deciding.
So now you're applying for it and you want to see if it consider both public and private collateral, right? When you apply for the government bonds now, so it asks what collateral will require. You want to know if it's public or private collateral required. Does it consider public and private? And as I said it to you, yes. This is not because I learned it before. Today is the very first day I searched for it on ChatGTP, both of them. I'm only showing you on ChatGTP because I read it perfectly to understand it. Why? I go to dictionaries and I present it. So I know what kind of collateral they're asking for rather than what it is that you are. So it said here, it tell you right here, it both consider both public and private as collateral. Why? Because you have to pay for it. And they can monetize both of them. So now, ask yourself the question. If the federal government is choose to pay all debt, as all they are gurus, these gurus are teaching you, then would it not be fit to say that every company do not need to pay no money to the federal government? Then what is the purpose of getting tax?
And that's already in the exhibit.
Since you gotta pay all of them. These are the questions I gotta ask. Because I asked them for myself. In my mind. When they gave me these codes. Do these codes satisfy the need of the operation of the government asking for taxes, locking up people for money that they don't give, funds that they don't pay, debt that they don't return? It doesn't make sense at all. Then that's the reason why the government is bankrupt. But if it's bankrupt, it's gonna come back and give money again. Because if it's gonna take care of every debt in the goddamn world, it's best for everybody in the world come to the United States. That is just full of ignorance, ladies and gentlemen. You have to be smarter than that because it does not fit the category in which they are putting in it. They are saying you're not supposed to pay any debt, yada, yada, yada. Bull freaking shit. Bullshit. This is why you get denied in court. This is why you lost your property. Sometimes you make some people get some true release. Why? Because they make certain statements in category and they put certain documents in line. What are those documents? Some of the tax forms that don't want to be reported, so you go ahead and just drop this case and just leave. They say, you know what, I don't want to go through this because this guy's going to go give me a hard time and he might ask me to reveal stuff and I don't want him to reveal nothing. So you know what, Your Honor, I drop the case, I rest my case. Oh, I can't pull the chain of title, so I don't even want to go through it no more. So they drop the case. But when they realize that you are an ignorant person, they're going to come at you. Like, so for instance, I created a document for a young man the other day. Gave the document to him 2 months ago. I think it was in September I gave him the documentation. I constantly call him, he don't pick up. But then he said he sent the document him out, which he did good on that part. The lady came back and she called him and was quarreling and she was trying to do something to him and he was crying and this, that, and the third, and she was trying to take his property away from him. So when he called me on the phone and let me know that the lady came and talked to him, I said, okay, let me talk to that lady. He said, here, talk to my lawyer. Let me see if I can remember the conversation. Hold on. I think it's sometime in November. Hold on. I think it's this one.
Not doing it anymore. This is the updated version. And her book was like maybe third.
No, I think it's this one then.
Greetings to the day.
No, it's not that one. Whoa. Which one is it? But anyways, I did it for him. He disappeared. Once he disappeared, I just said, okay, whatever. He disappeared. It's right here. This one right here. All right. He told me she's coming. She's about on her way. Let's listen to this conversation.
I even asked them to give you an extra extension, and you won't even return my phone calls, you won't return my text messages, or sign the paper for the extension.
Well, my client. Okay. Do not sign anything without me in your presence.
I already sent it to him. I sent it to him a week ago. It's the extension to continue to give him $5,000. Look at his email. He can send it to you because I've been sending it to him for a week.
I know what you're offering him, and that offer is not considered.
I don't care because I'm not the bank. I'm not in this fight. I'm the only one giving him money. So you can tell him till you're blue in the face that it's not right. I'll just because I'm not going to do this fight. It's not my job. I'm not the bank.
And the bank,
I'm a person.
I know.
I'm just a person.
I know what you're saying.
I'm going to give you $5,000. I never liked you.
Man, I know what you're feeling. The bank. The bank is
not. Don't talk to me about anything. He is either getting $5,000 or the sheriffs are showing up. I have no control.
The sheriffs have to come with a judgment.
I don't have any control, sir. He either gets $5,000 or he gets nothing, and the sheriffs.
The sheriff would have to come with a judgment. If the sheriff don't have any judgment.
I showed him the deed. They have control. I have it already. I told you.
I have not seen. Listen, I have not seen.
I don't know who you are. I will send it to the only person I'm talking to you because you don't know what you're talking about at all. I am only talking to him. He is the client. He's the only one that gets $5,000. Your lawyer could go to hell.
All right. All right. You don't have to sign any document until I take it to court, and then we take that property away from her. She has to deal with the bank herself. The bank is the one that would swindle her in that deal, not we. The bank swindled her in that deal that they should get a contract. They know what they should have done, and she should have listened to the bank. She have to take that back to the bank and tell them that's a wrongful deal and that's a bad deal, and she have to deal with the bank. And she trying to put you to deal with the bank for her by signing that document. So do not sign it. Okay. If you sign it, you're gonna lose. She's gonna put the sheriff out to get you, but you're gonna get that property back. You're gonna take it back away from her.
I'm not gonna play it anymore. I feel bad, you know what I mean? But that's that. So it's weird, right? So she's offering him to move out, to pay to move out. If he accepts it, he has to move out. He lost the property. They create a deed. They create a deed without his authority. They create a deed without his authority. If there's a dispute, they have to first go to court. The court has to satisfy somebody else cannot buy the property while he's in it, in default or in foreclosure. They have to prove the foreclosure is legitimate first in order for them to move forward. That's a violation off the bat. But this man have not talked to me for months. This is a problem because he don't know the rules and regulation of what's going on and how to deal with it, but you don't talk to the person who knows the rules and regulations. You know when he called me today, you know when I have courts? About a week or so from now. Fuck him. I could try to tell him, but I don't believe he's gonna make it. Why? Because what he need to know is still gonna talk about the promise and all yada 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 and all that beautiful shit, and don't remember one key thing. How did that motherfucker get the deed while you in the house? Somebody make a sale. You never have authority to do so. Who's the grantor of the property? When you rescind it, how comes they never answer? Those are the things that you need to talk about. But I talked to him for a couple minutes. He talked about all the other shit that I know he been listening to and he been watching to, and it's gonna piss me off if I try to listen to him any longer, especially with me getting a bad toothache. I had to get off that phone. The issue with you guys you are not doing your due diligence and figure out if these gurus are qualified, are just sweet talkers. I am not saying that they are not talking things that are right, because I just proved to you that they are, but some things are invalid. I am pointing out the one that is valid and the one that is invalid. If I notice that this does not belong, this one do belong. That one, but the public debt does not belong. This does not belong. That's what I'm saying. They are giving you things that does not belong. You need to know what belong and what does not belong. Question these motherfuckers who call themselves goddamn guru. Texas, what's going on, girl? You've been here all this time. I'm sorry. I should have listened to you a little bit. Come on, talk to me. Bring you up here and don't even let you talk. That's not good of me.
I'm just listening. It's a lot to take in.
Come on, talk to me. Tell me what you think, man. Give me your 2 cents in it.
Well, my situation, so
Right.
it's helping me be able to tie a little bit closer as far as the repossession and the route that I'm taking, as far as the CFPB.
All right. So a few things you have to do when the contract is signed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Learn what the UCC is. So let's look at UCC, right? We're going to go through them a little bit one by one and so. But let's start with the UCC. Let's start with the UCC 2. The power to transfer. Remember, transfer property from one place to the next. That's convey. That's what it's talking about now. Good faith purchase of goods and entrusting, right? So now, the purchaser is, me and you discussed this before, of goods acquire a title or title, which is transferred at, which is transfer had power to transfer, except that a purchaser of a limited interest acquire rights only to the extent of the interest purchase. This is mixed. Let me explain why it's mixed. It's talking about a purchaser. And it's, when it consider purchaser, it's talking about a purchaser of interest in the purchase. Interest in the purchase. Mm-hmm. And it's also talking about a purchaser who acquire title. A person who with a voidable title has power to transfer a good title to a good faith purchaser for value.
Right.
Even though it's voidable, they have power to transfer a good title. So they can make it good, a better one, to a good faith purchaser for the value of it. When a goods have been delivered on the transaction again, of purchase, the purchaser has the power, even though the transfer was deceived as the identity of the purchaser, meaning he deceived him, never give him the money, never give him the property, but he still have to get the title. So right. Even if he never do nothing right, the title must come to you.
Right.
Or the delivery in the exchange or the check is bounced. Even if you give my check and the check bounce, it doesn't matter, you still get the title. It was agreed that the transaction was to be cash or sale. It doesn't matter. Even if you commit fraud, he must give you the title. Any entrusting of possession of goods to a merchant who deliver in goods of that kind of give him power to transfer all rights to the entruster to a buying or ordinary course of business. Why? Buying in ordinary course of business. I know it's a little bit weird. I'm going to break it down a little bit. The entrusting possession of goods to a merchant. In other words, if me selling this melon and the merchant is going to be the broker, he now come to me for the goods, right? I still give it to him. I give him power to transfer it into the buying in the order course of business. In other words, because that's why I'm going to teach you guys to do your trust law. So you're going to have trust law. So when him come and he decided, boom, to buy it, me say, all right, here's the goods. Go take it with him. Then sell it to him. You have to take the goods and give it to him. The person who's buying it on the course of business days. Entrusted include the delivery and the acquittance in the retention of position regardless of any condition expressed between the parties to deliver the acquiescence, regardless whether or not the procurement of the entrusted or the possessor deposit of the goods have been such as to be licensed under the under the criminal law. Even if it's a lie, it's doing whatever it is, you must give him the goods. And all titles require. So, they're not supposed to take the title from the buyer. So where is the fucking titles you guys are getting when you go purchase any goddamn car? They tell you to wait fucking 30 days and give somebody else a property. Then a lien title came in. So that means the purchaser wasn't finished. It limitates you. Now watch this again. Each provision to this article with regards to rights, obligation, and remedies to the seller, the buyer, the purchaser. Notice the word purchaser and buyer in one sentence this time. So when they were talking over that side, they're talking about securities. Totally different. Or otherwise, third party applies irrespective of the title. Irrespective of the title, doesn't matter whether it's seller, third party, purchaser, buyer. When it comes to irrespective of the title, to the goods, except where the provision refers to such said title. Insofar as the situation are not covered by other provision, the articles and matters concerning title becomes material to the following rules apply. In other words, when it comes to title, these rules apply. Title to the goods cannot pass under a contract of sale prior to the identification to the contract. So the contract must have identifier. So you must ask the dealer, what is the identifier in the contract? What is the contract? There's always a number on the note, on the contract. You will be able to identify this contract significantly before they can pass the title. So if you have a contract and no identifier on the contract, guess what? Did he actually sell you the shit? These are procedural rules they're missing enough. Making it fraud. Once the fraud exists, the contract is no longer valid. Once the contract is materially misrepresented, it's no longer valid. Once a procedural rule is violated, it's no longer valid. Section 2, Section 5, it shows you right there. But let's read it some more. And unless otherwise explicitly agreed, you must agree, explicitly agreed. The buyer acquires their identification of special property as limited by the Act. Any retention or reservation by the seller of the title property in good shipping or delivery to the buyer is limited in effect to the reservation of the security interests. Anyway, keep back the title. Let's go here. That way you can learn it a little bit better. I think ChatGTP are our friend, right? Explain this for me. That way you guys can understand it. Again, this is the first time I'm doing it in ChatGTP. extension to the title is some sales, the seller might want to keep the ownership to the goods until the buyer pays in full. This is common in installment sale, lease to own agreement, and other credit transactions. What does the law say? Instead of being viewed as the seller still own the goods, the law would interpret this agreement as a security interest. This means the buyer is considered the owner and the seller is considered a secured interest in the goods to ensure. Example, suppose the buyer buy a car from the dealer as a financing. The dealer deliver the car to you but retain the title until you finish paying off the loan. Legally, the dealership retain the title is treated as a security interest, essentially collateral for the loan. If default, the dealership can repossess the car, but it must follow a secured transaction laws. Now, this is where we come to you now. They must follow secure transaction laws. What does the importance? The buyer writes immediately. Even if the seller holds the title, the buyer owns goods for the legal and commercial purposes. Seller must follow the secure transaction laws. If the buyer defaults, the seller must follow the UCC commercial code procedures to repossessing. Now, just don't take the car, right? The financing bankruptcy protection. If the buyer files a bankruptcy, secured creditor seller will retain the title have the property claims over unsecured creditor. Now, you ask a question. So you can see. What are the laws the seller must follow on any secure transactions, and how do they do them? Must do them. Boom. Now it's going to explain. The buyer default on a secure transaction, the seller would retain security interest in the goods, must follow the certain uniform commercial law and Article 9, procedures enforcing the rights. These procedures are designed to ensure fairness and preventing unlawful repossession or foreclosure. Steps. The seller must follow the UCC 9 buyer default. If the security interest exists, the seller retain the title on old or add a lien. The seller must follow the steps. What are the steps? Determine if the buyer has defaulted on this default occurs by the buyer fails to make payments in violation of contract. The step that he must follow is the detention and defaulted should be stated in security. So the specific steps should be stated in the security agreement in the contract. The right to repossession collateral 9 so forth is the security right to allow them to repossession. Two ways to repossess. Self-repossession without the court involvement. It can be done without breaching the peace, no force, threats, or illegal party. Judicial repossession. If the piece in repossession, file a court in a lawsuit, yada, yada, yada. Notify the buyer of the repossession rights remedy. Did they send this to you at the house? Did you guys get this document? That's the key. If they come to take a car or take a house without telling any of this, it's a problem because some of you guys don't get this in the mail. Some of you guys was never notified. And they must show in steps they certified mail you this notice. The seller must send written notice to the buyer before disposing of the goods. Get that? If it's not done, then the repossession is done unlawfully. Okay? This notice must include description of the collateral, the car, equipment, goods, forth, so on and so forth. They must give it the amount owed, the deadline of payment, buyer's right to remedy, buyer's right to remedy, buyer's right to remedy. So when they try to go ahead and buy it, they're not supposed to give you a call. So if they call you and say, hey, I'm going to take away the car, that's not the way it goes. It must be written. So when they go to the court to sue, you ask them to present the notice. And if they cannot present a notice, a written notice showing that somebody delivered it, this is an unlawful repossession. No matter how much they tell the police prior to them come getting it. It never asks them to make no fucking bullshit police call, but a written notice with details. Now, so when they said, hey, I want to pay it off in payment plan, and they said, no, you have to pay it off in 5,000, yada, yada, yada. Boom. It never written into the documentation to say that's what you need. No, that's not us currency mode. They just all use things as liable party. Because they can't use a social and stuff like that without the authority. How, when the collector, when the collateral to be sold. Now, the seller can sell the lease, dispose the collateral, or to recover the unpaid debt. Sale must be commercial reasonable. Again, commercially reasonable. Right? Private or public sale allowed. Seller must give buyer and any other lien holder reasonable notice of the sale. There must be a documentation coming to your house, and they must be able to prove it. Sale must aim to get fair market price. Apply sale proceed the debt, that. Now, proceeds from the sales are used in order to expense and repossession of the sale, storage advantage fees, or amount owed to other debt, and any remaining balance to return to buyers, if any surplus exists. If a deficiency remains, the seller may sue the buyer for the unpaid balance. What is the seller violation UCC rules? The seller does not follow. If the seller does not follow the UCC procedures rules, the buyer may take legal action. What are the legal action? Wrongful repossession. The seller breached the peace. How you breach the peace? Because he never sent you fucking notice. He never sent you notice. So you could have come out and shot him in his goddamn face. He breached the peace. Failure to give proper notice is right there. You like that? You like that? You like that, Texas? Texas. Come on, you like that?
Yeah, I do. I absolutely do. No notice was received. They trying to auction off February the 20th.
Unreasonable sale price. No, that's an auction off on a reasonable sale price. The seller must repossess legally. No force, no threat, no breaking into property. The seller must notify the buyer before selling the collateral as well. And the sale must be fair. And the sale must cover the debt only. And violates. But guess what? What if the seller securitized the note? While they in repossession. Come on, man. Damn. and it is still generating currency. In market pool.
That's personal.
See what I just did? You guys are wondering about this. This is what you guys are wondering about. But the first thing you must cover is procedural right. If you did it rightly, procedural right. Now, once you cover you did the procedural right, then the procedural wrong, then you ask about the securitized note. Because now this is going to consider to be gross enrichment. Would this consider to be gross enrichment? Or material misrepresentation? Boom. When a financial institution bundles a debt obligation, like car loans, mortgage, or selling them into securities, asset-backed, securitized, or mortgage-backed securities, it is the seller, lender, securitized your loan. They likely sold it to investors and they may no longer be the true creditor. Still, true creditor, the note is still generating revenue in the form of investors, even though the buyer is in default. Potential legal issues for the seller. If the seller repossessed the collateral while securitized note is still generating currency, it raises several legal ethical concern. Unjust enrichment, when a one party benefit unfairly at another's expense. If the lender has already received payment from investors but still repossessed and resell the collateral, they might profit twice from the same asset. This is what you need to learn, not some bullshit other theories. Legal implication. Courts may rule that the lender cannot both collect securitization profit and repossess the collateral unless the buyer debt obligation was still legally enforceable. Material misrepresentation, fraudulent concealment, misrepresentation happens when a party fails to disclose the relevant information that affects a contractual agreement. If the lender did not disclose that the loan was securitized and still profiting from it, it could be seen even as fraudulent concealment. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, so you can learn perfect knowledge. I'm not that handsome. I'm not that cute. I'm very ugly. But I do know to read properly. Even though I was a dunce when I was a younger child. Attention to detail. That's what keeps me very knowledgeable now. I'm not handsome. I'm even fat. God damn it, I can't even have sex properly. So don't think about me as an awesome man. But trust me, I am one of those guys who will let you level up if you deal with me in any form of way. Even though while you're on my Facebook, you're dealing with me, right? But you are leveling up in knowledge because this is what I do. So, if you look at law the same way you look at men, you're gonna lose. And women. If you look at law on an equitable value, then you know that you will indeed add equitable relief and you will see law perfectly. even if you look at a man the same way, because there's an equitable benefit for you to be with a man like me, because I will definitely seek out the problem and try to fix it. Any woman who desire to have a man like that in their life and then left them, you need to start think about yourself for a second. Some of the things them you can tolerate, because every man might do the same thing that he did. The same man that you left, another man might come and still cheat on you and probably left you in a worse state, pregnant and gone, or with a disease unknowingly, or cheating, or even fight you to death. You got to start look at things better than how you're looking at it now. So before you start getting involved with that guy, test his mind. Don't worry about his dick too much, even though it's nice and pleasurable to have one that actually works and have one that actually gives you a little enjoyment. I get it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'm not saying. Now you learn. Perfect security is to understand what you're doing. Not another quick fix. When you get a quickie, just accept what you get in a quickie. Because when I was learning from these gurus, I used to get quickies, and I accept what they gave me. Don't curse man and condemn man for because you make a quickie mistake. Enjoy your moment. That's where you're living. That's what you did in the first place. Enjoy it. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. So I want you to understand the same principle. If I get a girl, no matter how bad she is, I enjoy my moment and my time with her. She may cost me a hell, but trust me, that moment I enjoy with her. Same way like I'm enjoying the end time when I have with those gurus. Those gurus open my eyes to make me understand some of the laws that they gave me is not usable in certain circumstances, and it does not apply to me. So don't condemn them. Don't condemn them. Why? Because they're the one that bring your eyes to the knowledge in first place and let you continually study to improve yourself. The gurus are the one that farm me. I am grateful for them. Because of them, I recognize and understand law. So I will still pay them for information. If I have to. Even if it's freaking wrong. So don't you hear me say, don't follow this guru? It's not to condemn them, but give you a broader sense to open your eyes properly. Let's go on. Discover wrongful foreclosure. A wrongful repossession when a lender seeks to recover an asset despite already being compensated in other ways. And that's what you go to court to fight when you're going to go there. When they try to foreclose on the house, it's a wrongful foreclosure because they are compensated in other ways. So that's what the argument is going to be. The same way with repossession. Not taking it from the treasury. Not go charge it up on the treasury. Don't go and do charge up on the treasury. Nothing. Learn perfect law. Look what it said. This said treasury right here. charge the treasury. You're in a private freaking contract. But listen, I love the freaking gurus. Why? Because they give me broader ways to learn. Now look good. The note. Let's look good again. The note. In order for them to get federal notes, right? Look, federal government. Now understand this, ladies and gentlemen. Please, I'm begging you. Take your time and understand this. Any Federal Reserve Bank may application for the Federal Reserve agent, such as the amount of federal notes inherited hereby provided by law, required. Such application shall be accompanied with a tender to the local Federal Reserve agent, collateral in amount equal to the sum of the collateral amount in the amount equal to the sum of the Federal Reserve notes, equal to how much they're asking for. Thus apply for and is issued pursuant to subsection application. The collateral security thus offer, which is notes, right? Which is notes, right? So if the federal government say, if you want some money, and you give me notes for it, how are they going to charge it up on the treasury? It's impossible. Did you not remember the word charge? The word charge means demand for money. Demand for amount. A price from someone for a service rendered. When did these people render service to the goddamn federal government? To the treasury? When did these people render services to the treasury? When did these people render services or goods to the treasury? When? So if they never did render a service to the treasury, or the freak the treasury gonna pay for it. However, if you're in a bind and you send a requestment to the treasury, they will pay for it. But you gotta understand here, if they do give an application to the federal government, they're gonna charge the federal government for the full price of the contract. But then the federal government is buying the contract, so they're not gonna come and charge you for it. Once they give the federal government that account, you think they can actually put it back on the market again? No, because why? Now they're going to stop the federal government from making any money off of it. And trust me, they don't want to mess with the federal government like that. So yes, immediately they would have discharged your debt. Because they do not want you to believe you still owe the debt while the federal government takes charge of it. So that's not what they do. They actually go and deposit it in a security intermediary. In other words, they deposit on a pool, a trading market to make more currency from investors. You gotta learn perfect principle. You gotta ask yourself, how would it operate? How would it apply? And then you will see it for yourself in your eyes. Knowing the truth, whatever the people are telling you out there, sometimes it's not the way it goes. Look for yourself and tell me. Did you see anything say charge upon the treasury here? Right. So they put it in a pool and trade it in the market. The lender might have suffered a financial loss. Because why? Now we have to ask them when they go to the court, show me that you suffered a financial loss. Hear what I said, ladies and gentlemen? When they go to the court, ask them to show you that they suffered a financial loss. What do you ask them, ladies and gentlemen, for? I want to see it at least once or twice in their life. I want to see it once or twice in their life. What do you ask them for? Come on, you know what they ask them for. What they ask them to show you. You ask them to show you how they suffer a financial loss. There you go, book ledgers. You see, once they have to bring forth the book ledgers to show the proof that they suffer a loss, then you will see the pool. So while they increase their gain, their capital on the market, they're still charging you a fee. This is where the federal publication came in. The IRS publication come in. That when the borrower gives them a note and it's chargeable up on the internet, meaning when it can be charged up on the market, then they don't suffer no loss. It's as if the buyer paid them within the first year. It didn't came from a trust. It came from a trust created, but not your trust. It came from a thing called escrow trust, not your trust. You never create a trust. They did create a trust, not you. They have ability to create an escrow. They are banks after all. And give it monetary value. Did you know? Did you know that if many of you don't look at the contract properly, if they repossess a car or foreclose your house, say they foreclose the house for $20,000, right? And did you know when they sell the house, they have to sell it back for a less value? If they sell it more value than what they owe them, did you know they have to give you the rest of the money? How many of you know that? consideration. You see what it said right here? The lender might not suffer any loss. Because the court may rule must prove still have standing to collect before foreclosure or repossession. So they must show standing that they not making enough money. So when they look at the pool and the security intermediary that they have created, they're gonna pretend that they don't create it. But once it go to a bank, the bank have that no generating currency.